So a bunch of top players did get the chance to give feedback on what they wanted changed. And I think for a long time, the designers and developers have been focused on making sure the game is good and accessible for new players and lower skill players, which I think is how it should be. I don't think there's any reason why we should have been the focus when we're a percent of a percent. That being said, I do think this patch has the best hope of being aimed towards us. So I do expect a lot of good changes, and I'm very excited for this one. This is probably the most anticipated patch yet. Beta patch notes version 0.109.0. Another beta patch is here, Slayers. This one brings a host of balance changes, bug fixes, and new epic art. We've also begun to translate the game into traditional Chinese. No timeline just yet on official support for other languages, but we'll let people know when we are looking for additional translators. Perhaps most notably, 2 new Neow Relics have been introduced, one of which grants a powerful exclusive potion, and the other a brand new quest card with some cute beta art. Okay, quests are really fun, so hopefully it's not super game breaking. Okay, content and balance. Ancients added new Neow Relic Dowsing Rod. Upon pickup, add 1 dowsing to your deck. Dowsing quests 0 cost after entering 5 more question mark rooms. Transform this into abundance. Abundance ancient skill cost 1. Choose 1 of 3 upgraded powers to add into your hand. It's free to play this turn. Exhaust. So this is sort of like discovery, but only for powers, which is kind of insane. I will say that you're probably not going to be getting this inside of Act 1 most of the time. And if you are, you might be griefing your pathing. Unless they've changed events, Underdogs events are just kind of better than Overgrowth. And you can't really afford to take like 5-6 quest rooms. You're just going to carry this the entire act, basically. I guess if you have the map for it, it's fine. But most of the time, I imagine this being pretty bad. Once you get it done, it's obviously very, very good. Like insanely, insanely strong. So it's kind of just like a late scaling Neow, kind of like a Lava Rock side grade almost, where you expect the map to be very easy or safe. Okay, add a new Neow Relic, Neow Sacrifice. Upon pickup, procure 1 Ambergris and add 1 Guilty to your deck. Guilty is the curse that I believe removes after 5 combats. So this could be relatively free. Ambergris Pressure heal for 50% of your max HP, take an extra turn. Oh my god. Okay, here's the thing. Kind of compare this to Dowsing Rod. If you say that your Act 1 is safe and you can afford to take something like this, you just hold this for endgame. Like, you just don't use this unless you're actually dying. This is insane. Like, this is so snowbally. Even if you're using it in the early game or middle game, whatever, like, you can use this to be really aggressive because it's like a huge rest. So if you have like a really giga farming path, you can use this. It's also flexible. I think this is like instantly one of the best things in the game. Like, that's very, very strong. Like, even with the Guilty, I don't care if I take damage from the Guilty. Like, let's say I take 20 HP because I have Guilty in my deck before it gets removed or something. You can treat this as like heal for 20% of your health or 30%. Not quite 50, but that's still broken. Yeah, still insane. We worked Diamond Diadem, thank God. I think every top player ever was like, please destroy this relic. It is so stupid. Whenever you play 2 or fewer cards in turn, take half damage from enemies. 2, start combat with 20 block. Block is now removed at the start of your next turn. Okay, so this is basically a setup relic now. I like this a lot more. Obviously, it went from being completely broken to just very strong now. You can kind of think of this as sort of like a front-loaded energy relic. Like, it lets you play 20 block worth of stuff. That could be 3 or 4 energy worth of defense or whatever, or block cards maybe. Like, that's probably about average rate. And then you can carry it over. So even on the bosses that don't hit you for turn 1 or whatever, or any elites that don't hit you turn 1, it's going to save a lot. This is going to allow you to actually farm Act 3. And I think when the game gets harder, and I imagine it will here, but also like if Act 4 is added, this allows you to actually snowball throughout Act 3 and still be very strong later. It's obviously not like as crazy as Diadem where it just wins the whole fight for you, but a lot of the decks that just get set up and play powers, you want something like this. This is like way, way more interesting. Also, I imagine it has some really fun stuff with like body slam. Like if you have a body slam sort of thing going on, then this is really cool to see. You can also snowball this with something like Blur, or if you actually have Barricade in your deck, that's going to be really good. Moved Urobo's Sandcastle Relic from Pool 1 to Pool 2. I don't know off the top of my head the implications of this like bricking you more often now. I imagine that that's why it's the case, is the Urobo's second slot is too powerful. I don't think anything took its spot though, so we're going to see stuff in slot 1 more often. I can't off the top of my head remember exactly what's in slot 1, so I can't exactly comment on the implications of this exactly right now. Okay, change up Darv's blessing pools for more variety. We'll see energy relics more often. I do like Darv's Energy Relics. There's an unreleased podcast episode, so stay on the lookout for that we talk about like the Act 2 and Act 3 Ancient Relics, and Darv Energy Relics. Pretty interesting design-wise. I kind of like all of them. Nerf Tank's Meat Cleaver Relic, HP gain decrease from 9 to 5. That does not fix the problem at all. The problem is the removes. This is still insanely strong. Okay, Tezkatar's Toy Box Relics buffed. Relics gained increase from 4 to 5. I do like this, although it's still probably never really clicked. I don't want something to go away, and I imagine as soon as Act 4 is in the game, this is immediately just completely useless. You're not going to be able to snowball enough off of this. Very often, you can take something else and max farm Act 2. This is not letting you do anything you couldn't be doing. I guess if you're dying and everything bricks, but I just don't know how Tez bricks that hard anymore. Tez is just very strong. Okay, buff Vaku's Fiddle Relic. Card draw increase from 2 to... Oh my god. Okay, this did not need this. This was one of the best relics in Act 3 anyways. So I don't know where that's coming from. This is insanely broken now. It was already extremely good. And you will see the podcast where we talk about the unnerf version that's on main branch right now. But holy crap, that's gross. Okay, change Vaku's Sarah Talon and distinguish Cape Relic swap downsides. Okay, so for apps, you get curses, which I think is actually really bad. And Sarah Talon now is just really, really good. You lose HP now for Sarah Talon, and Distinguished Cape is going to give you 2 curses. So you're getting apps for curses or wishes for whatever. I mean, this is like goodbye apps, basically. You do not want to be bricking yourself with apps because you're already adding 3 cards into your deck that you have to draw into. And that means that you're not really setting up powers or whatever. Like, it's kind of weird. I can see still picking it sometimes, especially if like Nightmare or something. You can Nightmare the apps, or you have, I don't know, Bing Bong or something to get more of them. I guess you would get 4 curses, so maybe not, but yeah, definitely like way different power evaluation on this now. Okay, enemies nerfed Aeon Glass. Ebb move damage decreased from 26 to 32 to 22 to 26 to lower its front loaded damage. I really like that it hit you super hard on turn 1, and I'm kind of sad about this. I saw people complaining about this on Reddit, and honestly, the fact that this thing hits you is really good. You need to punish decks that just get set up and like play the powers, because there's a lot of decks that walk into Aeon Glass. Once you get set up, you cannot lose. You will just blitz through, and we will see what happens with this. But I am kind of sad about this. This is a big damage decrease. 6 damage is nothing to scoff at here. Buff Torchhead Amalgam now starts with a new strong tackle move on turn 1 to increase front loaded damage from 22 to 32. Okay, that's a big deal. 10 damage buff. So clearly they are rebalancing the power here. That is a really big hit. But I think Aeon Glass is still overall more problematic. Queen, usually it doesn't really hit you after this if your deck is like relatively strong at all. And usually at this point in the run it is, obviously. So this is really only going to kill like the super bad decks that take a long time to get punished. Diadem is obviously very good into this now. Just front loaded block is great. Notably, when they do buff numbers like this, weakness gets more important. Like as the number gets bigger, weakness is going to block for more and more. So making sure you have like a red mask or something to apply weakness on turn 1 is going to be really important here. That's kind of important to all the bosses anyways, but even more important now. Okay, nerfed History Course Relics now only repeats attacks, does not affect skills. Okay, this event, most of the time you were clicking gold anyways. It was kind of degenerate because I think when you got History Course event and you could just dodge Act 2, you would just know that you would win in the end game. So that's kind of warranted. Unfortunately, I think it makes this event kind of boring now. Unless you know you have an attack you want to repeat, but most decks probably don't. Not enough to warrant minus 100 gold and also like having to take the fight that's doing a lot of damage to you. So I cannot really foresee taking History Course very much anymore. It's probably just going to be click the gold, and that event is just very boring. It's just 300 gold. No real choices to be made. I think History Course is going to be very rare now. Okay, Ironclad buff demon form card strength and increase from 2 to 3 to 3 to 4. Okay, we didn't really need this either. This card did like a niche thing. I think it was fine, but whatever. I don't think this is going to do that much. Like if the overall power level of the game is just expected to be higher than Spire 1, sure, but you still like pick this, and 2 is enough to like kind of solve the fights it needed to solve, but it's fine. Like you're just straight up not playing it in a lot of fights, and the fights you were going to play it in, it already solved, so I don't know. It doesn't really change very much. It means you don't have to ever upgrade it really, I guess, and like it can scale into Aeon Glass a bit faster, but usually it's just not needed to do that. Okay, buffed Expect to Fight card no longer says you cannot gain additional energy this turn. Okay, so we're going back to infinite or what? Because this is really strong. Like really, really strong. I play Expect to Fight and I go Stoke and then I generate Bloodletting and I just zoom off or whatever. Like that's kind of gross. I don't know why we're doing this. I think maybe they think that Aeon Glass killed infinites enough to like not worry about this, but that's not true at all. I don't really understand. Cloud is very strong right now. I think maybe this is because Bloodletting is getting changed from common to uncommon, which honestly, I'm very happy that they did this. This was really needed. I talked about this quite a bit. I did skip over like two other things, but I think this is the context that's needed here. This is very important. I think Clad will warp a lot. You're not going to be able to slam all the draw and never get energy. If you lack energy on Clad, it's going to be rough. But that makes something like Pyre better. A few other things. So we'll see. Primal Force card, Giant Rock token damage increased from 16 to 20 to 20 to 24. This card's already disgustingly good. I don't understand. This is like crazy S tier card. Don't know why this is buffed, but I guess if they're just saying like you're scaling stuff. Yeah, maybe this is like a whole package in general, like nerfing or buffing demon form is required because Dominate gets changed down here, but we'll talk about that as well. Okay. Change taunt card, block gain decreased from 7 to 8 to 6 to 8. I don't understand that. I guess it goes to common, so that makes sense. Cloud gets a block common, I can click it, but I don't know. I wasn't clicking this thing very often, even at 7, as is. And especially now, I think it's a lot harder to with Bloodletting. The idea behind this oftentimes is you get like the draw power with this, and then it draws cards or whatever. I guess that can still open it up because it still upgrades to 2 vuln. It's like another common vuln source, but Tremble is kind of crazy. There's a lot of context that's changed around Clad now. This is going to be a very big meta warping patch, I think, for Clad, which is what we were hoping for. Yeah, this is just cool to see shake up like this. This is like going to completely change how the character's played because Bloodletting going from common to uncommon just warps the entire character. So basically first energy card is going to just get clicked. It already kind of was, but now it's going to be more often that you see runs where you just don't have any energy and you're going to have to figure out how to convert that, which is going to be relying on like boss relics and stuff. So we'll see. Cruelty changed from rare to uncommon. Also cool if they're trying to find other ways to scale because Dominate goes from uncommon to rare. So they basically flip-flop those two. Dominate is really, really broken. Not seeing that is going to have less non-factor runs though, because like Dominate, if you see it early and then you see like a break, your brain is off for the rest of the run. You know exactly how to play it. You know exactly what to do. You just jam all the vol and then the enemy explodes. I do think Dominate probably needed this. It's way too strong. Clad speedrunning in shambles. That is definitely one thing. Gonna have to figure that out. But yeah, overall, really interesting. Like lots of changes that matter just by shifting the rarities here. Bloodletting is the biggest one again, but this is going to be a really, really big adjustment on figuring out how to play Clad. I think this character got a lot weaker with Bloodletting just moving and Dominate moving as well. A lot of your scaling endgame options are decreased now, so I expect Clad to be much, much weaker. He was already really strong, so we'll see if it matters. Uncommon doesn't mean you never see the card, so you're still going to see it about probably 60-70% of runs, but that is not like every run. And when that happens, when you brick on your energy, it's going to feel pretty bad. It's going to lead to some creative runs. I think my hardest Clad runs have been no draw, no energy, and I might see that more often now. Silent reworked well-laid plans. Wow. I just skimmed this. That was kind of crazy. Uncommon 0 power cost 1 at the end of your turn. Retain up to 1 to 2 cards upgraded. To rare power cost 1 upgrade to 0. At the end of your turn, you no longer discard your hand. This is just a mid. That's just pure mid. But it doesn't mean you don't see it in uncommon, which is kind of Well-Laid Plans is probably the strongest card in the character, or one of the strongest cards in the character. It was sort of just an auto win thing, but this is just I get to play Pyramid as a power, which is gross. And the other gross thing is you can see this from like events and stuff on other characters too, so you can get Pyramid on other stuff. I think they just really wanted to make it not seen as often, but honestly, you could have just bumped it up to rare as the current power level. You didn't need to change it at all. That's kind of crazy. You would just see it less often, and this was like one of Silent's best tools. Tools of the trade, other draw consistency stuff is going to be very important. This character really likes having access to consistent combos and really lacks access to energy. So you can sort of make that up by just only playing your good cards. But now if you have to actually spend energy on draw cards, it's kind of bad. Like Silent could often just play Well-Laid Plans and not really play draw cards. And then you just sort of do some stuff. There are more reworks. I do need to refresh. Okay. Silent, reworked Mirage card. Uncommon skill 1 to 0. Gain block equal to poison on all enemies to exhaust. To uncommon skill 0. Next turn gain 1 to 2 energy. Outmaneuvers back. Okay, that's really good. I've been asking for this for so long. I don't know why it costs 0. I think that's just unbelievably broken. I think they probably need to make that just cost 1, but this is an insane card. Silent had no energy gen as soon as I was talking about that, but that's really, really, really crazy. Yeah, just disgusting card. Silent really needed this, but luckily, like, if you can't hold cards, you're not gonna be able to combo off with it as reliably. But at the very least, like, you can just sort of like pick backflips and acros and use this as your main energy generation. Reworked Expertise. Draw cards until you have 6, 7 in your hand. Draw 2 to 3 cards. They gain Retain this turn. That's pretty interesting. This is like an acro side grade. So no discard synergies, but that's not super important anyways. And there's going to be a lot of skill expression with this. Like, getting Retain, you know, we take away well-laid plans, but we have other access to it that's not quite as permanent. I quite like this, actually. That's really nice. I think this kind of needs to be upgraded. Otherwise, like, you can compare this to Backflip, where like getting block 5 on the turn you played is going to be pretty important. Maybe you can jam this if you have Mirage, but Silent usually doesn't have energy gen and cannot really afford to click something like this, I don't think. Buffed Outbreak card, damage increase from 3 to 4 to 4 to 5. This was recently reworked and now just buffed. I think this is about equivalent to the numbers it was before, with the extra consistency of proccing every single hit of poison. That's kind of nice. Change Accelerant card, rarity decrease from rare to uncommon. Yeah, this card was not doing very much. This is kind of the catalyst of Spire 2, I guess. So sure, if you see like early Snakebite and you have to click it and then you see this, like, maybe you can do something with it. It's kind of weird, but we'll see. Regent, reworks Pillar Creation card. Whenever you create a card, gain 3 block. To the first time you create a card each turn, gain 5 to 7 block. Okay, Pillar is way worse now. It's better in early game when you can't make a ton of stuff, but it's no longer going to be like your end game damage solve. And it also comes with a collision course nerf, damage decrease from 11 to 15 to 10 to 14, which is one of the main combos with Pillar. Pillar, you can do still multiple copies of this. If you have 2 copies of this and they block like 14 or something, that's still a lot. You're just going to have to do a little bit more work to block instead of just full blocking on accident. I think this is completely fine. It's still very strong, especially early game, because you're only generating like maybe your sword, or you're playing your collision course, or you have a spectrum shift. Like, if I have Pillar and spectrum shift, that's a really good combo. I very much like that. Okay, Necrobinder, reworked Eidolon. Exhaust your hand. If 9 cards are exhausted this way, gain 1 intangible. To play all ethereal cards in your exhaust pile, exhaust. Huh? Okay, so this is what this does, okay? Basically, if you let all your cards go, like all your apps, whatever it is, right? You can play them. It doesn't matter if they just go away. Your domain, yeah, whatever. It pulls it back and plays it. And the thing is that doesn't put it back into the exhaust pile. It now just goes back into your deck. So if the card just says ethereal, like your Defy or your Enfeebling Touch or whatever, and you lose it, now you can pull it back and then it goes to your discard pile instead of being exhausted again. So maybe they need to make this exhaust. I'm not exactly sure. It's not very often that you like want to let all your ethereal cards exhaust or whatever. But yeah, the Knights, this is gonna be hilarious. You just let them exhaust your hand. You just play this and just like destroy everything. Yeah, it pulls them out of the exhaust pile. That's really, really crazy. Very fun. I'm not sure how good this is going to be, actually. It's kind of weird. It's not as good against Aeon Glass, which is kind of a thing that Necro really struggles against right now, and now loses a tool for, but maybe you can just blitz it down. I'm struggling to think about how you exactly get a ton of ethereal cards into your exhaust pile, except letting them go, or the things that are, I guess, apps, right? That's like the main thing, the most abusable thing I can think of. Anything that says exhaust and ethereal on the same card. Call the Void, yeah, that's a big one. But it's pretty slow. So we'll see. I don't think off first glance this is broken. I think it's very niche, but when it like pops off, it's gonna be really fun. I like them like trying stuff like this. When I can't tell exactly how it's gonna go right away, that's pretty fascinating to me. I don't like knowing that something's gonna be like broken or really terrible right away. The stuff that's more borderline or maybe more niche, I really like. So yeah, great patch so far. And I was expecting awesome stuff from this patch. So far, it's delivering. That's really nice. Defect, buffed Hyper Beam card, damage increase 28 to 36 to 30 to 80. They buffed it again? We're still not playing it. The focus is way too important. It's really not needed to pick this card. You just don't need. Sunder is buffed. Okay, I don't know why we buffed 2 damage on Sunder as well. This is kind of strange, but Sunder damage increase from 24 to 32 to 26 to 34. Change Trash to Treasure card, upgrade change from gain to 8, lowers cost by 1. I think this is just a nerf, just in general. Usually if you have Trash to Treasure, you just are making a bunch of random crap, and you want to make sure this is down for your entire first deck cycle before your whole redraws garbage statuses, right? If you don't have a way to deal with the statuses, you don't want to be redrawing. So if you bottom deck this, it's going to be kind of sad. Treasure Treasure Innate was very, very good because you could sort of just blitz the enemy down in the first deck cycle and never have to redraw. Just generating orbs was always just going to be really broken. You just have random block, random damage, random energy generated from like plasma orbs. Yeah, interesting. But I don't know why Treasure Treasure is the thing that they hit here. I think Defect probably needed nerfs on other facets. But as far as I know, a big part of what they're trying to do right now is not rip the band-aid off. A lot of people are very upset about the compact nerfs, and they want to go more, I believe. They're just not doing it all at once to appease people, but we'll see. I don't know. This is kind of strange that we're just getting some like flat damage buffs, but other than that, it doesn't do anything. Okay, multiplayer, nerfed Midnight card, damage decrease from 99, 120 to 60 to 72. Still really, really broken. Insanely strong card. Definitely needed this. This is like absolutely disgusting broken. Me and VM are currently on like a 29.5 streak. We're literally in the middle of a run right now, or 28.5, something like that. So maybe this will do something, but I don't see any other real multiplayer like nerfs outside of this, which I think it needs a lot, but we'll see. Nerf the ball card scaling decrease from 15 to 25 to 10 to 15. I still think this is really, really powerful. Still an insane card. Hopefully it doesn't crash the game anymore. Nerf Blade Symphony card. This definitely needed it. It was gross, even in 2-player. Cost increase from 1 to 2, upgrade to 1. Upgrade no longer increases shiv count. This is kind of just equivalent to playing a Blade Dance that doesn't exhaust. If you play it, it gives you 4 shivs in 2-player, and in 4-player, it's going to give you 8, which is a lot. So probably in 2-player, this is not really pickable unless it comes green, and maybe someone has strength on your teammate or whatever, and you can give them something. Silent usually doesn't have a way to abuse the shivs as much when they're lower value like this. So when you would rather just pick something like a Leading Strike or an actual Blade Dance or an Infinite Blades or whatever. Silent has better like selfish shiv cards is what I want to say. Other characters can abuse these a little bit more. Cloud gets like Feel No Pain, Dark Embrace, whatever. That's the main thing. Pillar of Creation, that's also a thing. Arsenal. So it can still be very good depending on what your teammate has, but probably not going to be quite as crazy. Energy nerfs are pretty big, especially for Silent. Okay, user experience and interface. General seeds are now 12 characters long and internal seed is larger. Remove faint white outline from game cursor. Multiplayer, you can now play nearly any potion on another player. Okay, so I guess Gambler's Brew and stuff are getting buffed. If anything, I think multiplayer is just buffed. The multiplayer cards are really broken, but you just don't need them to win at all. This is actually a really big change. Lots of potions are selfish. Anything that's like Touch of Insanity, anything that interacts with your hand, being able to toss that on someone else is way more flexible, and that's part of why multiplayer is so broken. So I think this is overall more impactful change than the card nerfs. Map ink circles are now the same for all players. I don't know what this means. Okay, art. General, added epic art for Annihilation, 2-kill futility. Ancients, added assets for Dowsing Rod and Neow Sacrifice Relics, added assets for Ambergris Potion, added beta portrait for Dowsing and Abundance cards. Enemies, swapped Aeon double and heavy attack animations and improved the double attack visual effects. Okay, so at least there's no actual Aeon nerfs outside of like the damage on turn 1. So I'm glad they're not like actually rolling back on it. I hope that they keep the difficulty like roughly around Aeon, and seeing the Queen bust makes me pretty hopeful that they're trying to bump everything up close to that level. Okay, added portrait art for the following cards: the ball and plot. Created failed to join the text visual effects. Writing. Localization, added traditional Chinese as flexible language with English fallback, added traditional Chinese fonts, updated translation for various languages, fixed translation errors for French, Italian, Russian, and Thai, removed stale translations for redesigned well-laid plans, fuel, outbreak, Sir Talon, and cacophony. Bug fixes, general. VSync setting and graphics options now shows the correct on-off state after restarting. Power wears off notification no longer blocks mouse output. Placeholder orb numbers no longer briefly show up at the start of combat. This is mostly in multiplayer, I think, but I've noticed it quite a bit. Correctly snap scrolling menus at low FPS. Ancients, fixed Tanks' whistle card preview and tooltip snapping to the top left corner when hovered. Enemies, fix awkward delay when Osti and Kaiser Crab would spawn at the start of combat. Fix Fabricator animations that weren't playing right. Fix Fat Gremlin sometimes spawning without a bag of money when it should. Silent exposed card now properly triggers Handle Relic. Very funny. So I guess you get double fold. Necrobinder Soulbound card now shuffles souls into the draw pile instead of putting them on the bottom. Multiplayer. One for all card no longer previews damage up on X cost cards. Fix unmovable card, causing other players to receive double block from demonic shield card when it was not the first block card played. Imitation learning card now clones cards before they are played instead of after, allowing enchantments like Swift to apply to the cloning player. Underworld card no longer causes doom to be applied to players when enemies deal attack damage. Thank God. Fix an issue where if a player played the ball card while another player had History Course, or like History Course could correctly end up playing a copy of the ball next turn. Incorrectly, I should say. I hope they fix the other ball bug because there was a lot. I wrote like 13 F2s on this patch. we'll get down below, I guess. Fixed divergence that would sometimes occur when ending a combat with the ball card. Thank God. Hibernate card no longer gives block to dead players. Hibernate card now correctly displays stacks on its power icon. If Huddle Up triggers a choice for another player, the playing player is no longer blocked from playing cards. The ball down triggers the playing player's relics, not the receiving players. Okay, yeah, there is a million bugs to the ball. If you were not aware, this was a big one. It broke Diadem, which now is deleted from the game, I guess. But yeah, it would break Diadem. It would break like lethality procs. It would break nunchucks, whatever. It would just ruin random stuff all the time. Fixed card effects, breaking when a player dies while their own card is still resolving, e.g. to Thorns. Fixed divergence that would occur if one player took a long time to enter combat. Player icons are rendered above the ink circle on the map. Fixed issue where if epics were deprecated, that player could no longer join multiplayer games. Modding, merge save property, whatever. Save properties are now included in its hash. Models from non-gameplay affecting mods are now properly excluded in the hash. Okay, big patch. Overall, very happy. I think the main things here are the Ironclad and Silent changes. You can see there's the most amount of text here. But the cards that were nerfed here are like extremely critical cards to how the character was getting very easy wins before. And not seeing those cards was often something you thought about. Like every run I don't have bloodletting, I'm basically like, where's my bloodletting? Every run I don't have well-laid plans, it's noticeably more difficult. They are compensating for it a little bit with a few other changes, but I do think like the rarity changes are the big one where you're just seeing this stuff less often. What this is going to mean is your run's going to feel less samey, which is really, really good. I am very happy about this. Overall, this is going to make the game harder. Like all these changes probably making the game harder, which I really like. We'll see what kind of streak we can go for on this patch. Currently have like a 5 streak right now or something, and we'll keep that going, but obviously can't really fully count it. I imagine that it will be much harder to get consistent free wins on these characters, but you will still be able to win. The characters overall are still very, very strong in general, even with all of these changes. Like if you just pretend how a run was going to go when you didn't see these broken cards, you sort of know the general power level. You're still going to see them sometimes, but it's going to be much less often. I'm very happy about Mirage being reworked, kind of like an outmaneuver. Silent really needed some sort of energy because Tactician is just not cutting it without like tools or something. This is a really good thing to see. It did combo nicely with what they planned, so maybe it's not going to be as crazy. But yeah, really, really cool. Could work well with Fiddle, which just got buffed. That's going to be really crazy. And the other thing is the Regent Pillar of Creation nerf. Really big deal. This was a lot of free wins. You can just pillar slot, pick 2 of them, block for 100 very easily every turn. Everything else, kind of whatever. Defect, kind of whatever. Necrobinder, kind of whatever. This is the biggest thing for Regent. But yeah, mostly the Ironclad and Silent changes. And also the Queen buff with the Amalgam hitting you much harder. There's a few rebalancings here. I would like to see Nonu kind of get hit a bit harder than this. All of her relics are kind of broken. But you know, one step at a time. Progress is progress. I don't need to all happen at once. Pretty happy with this overall. This abundance thing looks really interesting to think about. The question mark rooms is something you can plan ahead and know exactly when you're going to get that, but you don't necessarily know what's in the question mark rooms. So carrying this around might be hard if you happen to roll combats in the question marks or something. The Ambergris thing I think is just broken. This is a very, 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 very powerful effect and will let you probably snowball. So I'm overall most excited to play with this Neow. I think this is going to be very, very interesting just to see how broken it is. In my head, it sounds pretty broken. If you can extract a lot of value, or you can hold it for late game. So we'll see. Like if your act happens to go well and you high roll, you're allowed to hold this for end game. If you low roll early game, you have a free bailout. It's like, it works in both situations. It seems like kind of generically just always good, which is not great for game design, I think. But yeah, maybe I'm underestimating how impactful this guilty is going to be. I just don't see it really having much of a downside, considering it goes away pretty quickly. Okay, very interesting patch. There's a few things I don't agree with, like the fiddle change here. That doesn't really need it, you know, but everything else is just very, very interesting. I'm excited to play, especially the original characters, Silent and Clad mostly. But yeah, this is definitely a huge shakeup on those 2 characters especially. And we'll see. I'm looking forward to like All Act 2, Alt Act 4. Or not All Act 4, but just Act 4 in general. That will change a lot. It feels a little weird to me to be balancing a bunch of this stuff before Act 4 is in the game, but we'll see. Once Act 4 comes in, a lot of this stuff is going to get way worse or way better, and going to need some tweaking for sure. Necrobinder might struggle against Aeon Glass without the Eidolon even. Not that that was like a main way it was doing it, but it was an answer. So we'll see how often we can play this. Okay, that is it. Pretty interesting stuff. Multiplayer got quote unquote nerfed, and VM can continue the streak and prove that it wasn't the random broken cards. But yeah, pretty cool patch.